Who would have won between Manny Pacquiao and Edwin Valero had they met in 2010? Well, the key question here is how good was Valero? The most competitive fight in Valero's career was a title-winning effort against Vicente Mosquera. And that, when watching that fight, that really defines what type of fighter he was. He was a power-hitting southpaw with underrated defense, determined as all hell, and with a killer's mentality, and literally. On the flip side, he may have had some endurance issues because he would fight with such intensity. That type of weakness never had opportunity to be revealed. I mean, when he fought against Antonio DeMarco, he had his mouth open the whole fight. And he threw punches with his chin in the air. And we also have to consider his mental faculties in analyzing his career also because, evidently he attacked his own mother. He beat his wife into numerous hospital stays before he eventually murdered her. So, and looking at something like that, mentally unstable fighters like Valero usually don't respond well to adversity. You look at guys like Mike Tyson and Tony Ayala, fighters off the top of my head who had this dysfunctional, violent mindset outside of the ring. They both had episodes where they quit inside the squared circle when they were faced with adversity. It is a fair question to ask if Valero could be cut from the same cloth. I mean, he looks like the super macho, proud warrior, but he was never faced with adversity in the ring aside from a cut against DeMarco. So we really don't know exactly how he would have responded, especially if he would have faced a fighter like Pacquiao, who would have certainly tested him. Now, these two could have met in 2010, theoretically, if Valero had stepped up in weight. Pacquiao was firmly established as a historical fighter by this time, a pound-for-pound entrant who was arguably in his peak form, while Valero was still on the come-up, despite being a two-time world champion. He had won championships from title claimants in DeMarco and Vicente Mosquera. These men were not the number one fighters in their division. Again, they were claimants. But Pacquiao and Valero are stylistically similar to the point where at least two fighters in Eric Morales and Oscar De La Hoya had employed Valero's services as a sparring partner in order to prepare for Pacquiao. So who would have won had these two met in 2010? Well, the odds-on overwhelming favorite would have been Pacquiao. But we have to put an asterisk on that because we don't know how good Valero could have become. Unlike Salvador Sanchez, another fighter who died young, but Sanchez defeated numerous top challengers and top names. Valero really didn't establish himself against top-flight opposition. The only footage we have of him against elite competition is a sparring match against Eric Morales, and beyond that we are left to read reports of him getting the best of Oscar De La Hoya in the gym. That isn't enough to give him the edge in a mythical matchup against Pacquiao. Another item to consider is the type of fighters that seem to trouble Pacquiao. Pacquiao really only seemed to have trouble against orthodox technicians, master boxers like Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez, and of course Floyd Mayweather. In facing Valero, he would be facing a mirror image of himself, a raw facsimile of what he was maybe 5 years earlier. In looking at the footage, Valero was obviously a natural. He's a tremendous athlete with the hand speed, foot speed, power, the whole package. Much like the early version of Pacquiao, he primarily used his legs and his cat-quick reflexes to get out of the way of punches. But what he lacked was Pacquiao's experience. Pacquiao has a greater repertoire of punch combinations, and he would have specific techniques that would be devised by his trainer, Freddie Roach. Well, in the opposite corner, the only person that Valero seemed to listen to was himself. So I'm going with Pacquiao by a late round stoppage in what would be an epic battle simply because of Valero's tremendous natural ability. I'm including some highlights of Valero's bout against Vicente Mosquera. Be on the lookout for the early round knockdowns of Mosquera and Valero himself being knocked down in the third round.
Lo quiere medir Valero. Bien la derecha y la izquierda y cayó Mosquera. Para el loco Mosquera. Bien, de vuelta, amigos televidentes, en la esquina el loco Mosquera con Celso Chávez. Vive la emoción del boxeo y que nunca ha sido y celebra a toda máquina con el mega spin de aniversario. Presenta el tercer asalto. Territorio desconocido para el venezolano Valero. Ha peleado 18 veces un asalto y una vez dos asaltos. Pero creo que sacó provecho de la etapa en la que él está acostumbrado a pelear. Valero derribó dos veces a Mosquera en el primer asalto y en el segundo el paraguayo terminó mareado. Venga fuerte, Valero. No hay ninguna duda. Conectó bien con la izquierda Valero allí. Pero Mosquera hacia adelante, se ha olvidado toda la estrategia y va hacia adelante, recibiendo castigo por parte de Valero. Y también conecta Mosquera. Esquivó bien y Rocco, pero falló también su gancho. Si no alcanza ese daño, Mosquera va a hacer una medición de fuerza de igual a igual, es lo que le conviene a Mosquera. El boxeo panameño es superior al venezolano históricamente. Al ser más moreno lo acaba de demostrar claramente entonces eso. Y exacto, cuando pasa a Valero lo conecta fácil nuevamente Mosquera. Pero va hacia adelante buscando la guerra. ¡Qué pelea, señores! Tercer asalto. Está un poco más atento a esquivar los golpes Mosquera a la altura de este tercer round. Buena la derecha del panameño en el rostro. Claro que sí. Bien Mosquera. Buena la izquierda del panameño. ¡Cayó Valero! ¡Cayó Valero! Y en un asalto que él no conoce. Cayó Valero, sigue la pelea entonces. El público tirando objetos aquí al ring, hombre. Por favor. Mosquera. Luce mucho más entero Edwin Valero. Mosquera representa un blanco fácil ahora para el venezolano. Décimo asalto, señores. Bien, Valero de izquierda a derecha. Se tambalea Mosquera. Se la van a parar así. Está viendo de cerca las acciones, Luis Pavón. Tambalea Mosquera, se tambalea el título en la 130. Pavón de cerca. Meterse y sencillamente decir ya, está bueno, se acabó. Porque el loco Mosquera sencillamente